Obsession is the newest horror film from Blumhouse, directed by Curry Barker, the independent filmmaker, primarily known for Milk and Cereal and his short film The Chair. I have followed Curry Barker's career for a long, long time, and seeing him finally get his breakthrough directorial debut with Blumhouse and Obsession, especially when it doing the festival circuit and everything like that, it was so intriguing to see what Obsession would actually be like. And luckily, I got a lovely invitation from Hot Press Magazine and Universal Ireland alongside Blumhouse to see Obsession about a week early at the Irish premiere, and it was an absolute blast. I had such an entertaining time, so just know for my review, I'm going to try and approach this with being as level headed as possible, because not only that, I did see this in a packed out theatre with a lovely audience, a joyful audience, and most importantly, an entertaining audience, because this film is absolutely hilarious. So this film obviously follows a character known as Bear, who is basically this guy who's an introverted person who has a little crush, or a big crush per se, on this girl called Nikki in his friend group, to where he buys this thing called a One Wish Willow and wishes that Nikki would be completely in love with him, and of course madness ensues. Obsession is one of these films that only comes along every now and again where it just feels like it has the perfect blend of horror and comedic timing, because mainly from the likes of Cooper Tomlinson, I want to say is his name. This is the same actor who is gone on from film school with Curry Barker. He starred in Milk and Cereal, and they've also dropped out of film school together. They have a whole story about that. They're pretty much best friends, and so seeing him alongside Curry Barker in this film is really, really cool. You know, being a director and having your one of your best friends, if not your best friend, be an actor, and also a really good actor at that. Cooper Tomlinson is awesome in this film, and the incredible comedic timing in this one, specifically in one of the last scenes in the entire film. The humor is actually surprisingly well timed. If you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. Of course, the film doesn't release for a couple more days here in Ireland anyway, but I have to say it is an absolute blast. Now, to get onto my positives, I want to say Indy Navarrete, who plays Nikki in this film, is absolutely incredible. She is unbelievable. There are shades of Hereditary and also shades of Pearl in here with her character, and just overall, mainly I would go for more of a Pearl vibe, but her characteristics and also the overall tone she has to capture for this film is second to none. I think her performance in here is absolutely fantastic, and it's by far the best of the film. I think that her performance really carries it on as Nikki being this absolute maniac, especially in these crazy situations where all of a sudden it feels like this person is so calm, and then literally 2 seconds later it's, you know, full blown screaming, smashing things, and just overall going crazy. And the fact that she can do that with like a flick of a switch basically is just incredible. Another positive I have is the gore in this film. This film is actually surprisingly bloody. I did not expect that. I mean, I heard some rumors and some news going around that basically there was an NC-17 rating, or a cut rating of this film that had to be, you know, put away because it was too violent, which I hope was on the Blu-ray. I would love a director's cut, and kind of seeing how violent they actually took the film on shooting in days, and see how, you know, violent they actually went with until they had to cut that down for obviously the rated R. But overall, I'd love to see how gory this film actually got, because there is some wild scenes in here, and if you've seen the film again, and when you eventually see the film, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about. Another thing I liked about this film as well was the way it was shot. The cinematography was really, really intriguing, and I really liked it. Especially the one scene that they actually released just before the film came, well, just before it's coming out, is one of the scenes of Nikki and Bear in a like restaurant type area, and you see Nikki just go all balls to the wall crazy, and I think that is such an interestingly well shot sequence. And overall, I think that all the, you know, the horror element sequences are really, really strong. There's a lot of sequences in here where it feels like very Hereditary style, like, and the lighting as well. I think it's in the trailer. There's one shot where Nikki's standing at the door frame and she's barely lit. You just see her figure. You don't see anything else. You don't see any facial expressions until eventually in the film you get a shot of her eyes, and the only thing you see lit are like these little glimmers of hope in her eyes, and I find it so creepy. And the bodily performance that Indy Navarrete brings in this film is just top notch. It's incredible. Michael Johnson's performance in this film is absolutely incredible as Bear. His performance feels so raw and so real. I really, really liked his performance in here, and especially in the last act, there's one specific scene with him in here that's like, wow, it's crazy how well he can actually act. And I'm pretty sure he's done some voice acting roles. I think he voiced someone in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, which is super interesting. But overall, this is a cast that is, fairly unknown. There's not a lot of people in here that you're like, oh, I remember that actor from this. No, Curry Barker basically got this cast and, crew together. And this film is incredible. I'm telling you right now, I gave it a 4 stars on Letterboxd. I think it was incredible. The main thing that got me up to a 4 star was the last act. There was some sequences in here where I felt like, hey, if it ended this specific way, it would have been really, really interesting. However, it didn't end that way. But I do think there's stuff in here that kind of shows that, Curry Barker now directing Texas Chainsaw Massacre is probably a perfect fit. There's definitely a level of, like, character development in here that is, like, specifically needed, and I love that from him. And his directorial style as well, of, like, not only being completely horrific, but the comedy, this film is hilarious. I'm telling you right now, my theater were laughing out loud on multiple occasions, probably more so than actually being scared at sometimes. And I do find that this film has that perfect blend. Like, there's literally a sequence towards the beginning of the film with Cooper Tomlinson and, of course, Michael Johnson's characters of Bear and Ian, where they're kind of just mouthing across the table at each other, basically having this conversation without having anyone notice. And it's just a really funny, sequence. And those little moments kind of show that, this film has a lot of heart to it. And it just, overall, this film has so much going for it. And I would highly recommend going to watch it. There's not many negatives I have with this film. I do think that at some points, there's some moments where there's some backwards movement, or it feels like it was shot in reverse and stuff like that, where it was kind of iffy. But overall, there's not a lot in here that's completely negative in my eyes. I mean, it's not a perfect film, of course, but overall, I just feel like there's a lot in this film where I just really enjoyed it, and I didn't have much that I was like, oh, I didn't really like that. I didn't really like that. I actually really thoroughly enjoyed the film. I think that, of course, there was times where some dialogue elements, felt a little bit cheesy, and it didn't, like, but I feel like that was the point. I don't think this film takes itself too seriously. It's serious enough when it gets into the horrific elements, but at the end of the day, I don't think this film is like a crazy, like, oh my god, ultra serious film. And that's what's good about it. It has that element of, like, it's not taking itself too seriously. It's entertaining. It's a roller coaster the whole way through. I thought it was paced very quickly for an hour and 49 minutes. It felt like an hour and 20 in my eyes. It didn't feel like that long at all, and I do like that. It had a really nice and thorough pacing with it, and I really enjoyed that. And I think that just in general, Obsession is one of those films where it'd be like, oh my god, I could sit down and just throw this on. It would be an absolute blast to put on, especially with a group of friends. I feel like if you have a group of friends to go with to see this film with, it's the perfect way to see it in my eyes. I do feel like this is like the perfect friend group film to watch. Or if you're risky on a first date, it would be interesting to bring someone on a first date to this film as well. But I just think in general, like, Curry Barker as a director is such an inspiration. He's like 26 years old, and he's directed his first feature film with Obsession, and now going on to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I feel like for independent filmmakers who may start on YouTube and stuff like that, Curry Barker is the one to look up to. I do think this guy is so talented, and I'm so excited to see what he brings to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially after seeing Obsession. And I do feel like when you actually watch Obsession, you can kind of see, like, oh, there's some stuff in here where I'm like, if this had like a little bit different set design and a different maybe location, you can kind of see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre inspirations in here. And for me, when I'm watching the film, I'm kind of going, oh, okay, if he's doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we're in for a treat in my eyes, especially with the blood and gore. But not only that, with the actual character development and emphasis on human nature as well in this film, to where not only that, I don't think there'd be much humor in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I personally don't know how that would go, but overall, I do think that this film, for his first film, is incredible, and I would highly recommend it. It's easily one of the best horror films of the year so far. We have a lot of horror films to go. I mean, we just had Hokum, we have this, we have the Backrooms now at the end of the month as well. There's a lot to dig into for us horror fans, and I'm so excited to watch them. I'm beyond excited. I'm so proud to be a horror fan right now. And I mean, if you can see by the background in my room, I'm obsessed with horror. I love making horror films, and I love watching them. So with Obsession, it was no different. I had an absolute blast with this film. And lastly, again, I just want to thank Blumhouse, Universal Pictures Ireland, and of course Hot Press Magazine for the incredible experience of seeing this film early. I mean, going to a premiere first of all as an independent filmmaker, especially for someone who's followed Curry Barker's career for years, this was an absolute dream come true. So thank you so much to Hot Press Magazine, Blumhouse, and Universal Ireland for that incredible experience. It was an absolute dream for me. So thank you all so much for watching. If you have seen Obsession already, or if you're gonna go see it, let me know what you're most excited about to see in Obsession. Let me know what you've thought about it. If you've seen Obsession and you're seeing this maybe a couple days after, or maybe it's on release right now, maybe you're watching this day on the release of Obsession, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and we can have some conversations about why you liked it, why you might not have liked it, and why I personally loved it, and why you may have loved it as well. But thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support on the channel recently. It's been absolutely amazing. But as always, have the most amazing day. Stay safe and peace.